if you have a business, sometimes it does help to have access to cash for emergencies, for working capital needs, for expansion needs. So that's where you need to have a low doc working capital loan. So in today's conversation, I want to talk to you about our best low doc working capital loans for businesses. Even if you have a credit score that's kind of bad, let's say below 550, not a problem. So here's a review I want you to pay attention to if you are in that category. Number 8, we have Biz to Credit. Our score, 7.8 over 10. So Biz to Credit is kind of cool when it comes to low doc working capital loans because they actually are very generous. They actually grant you loans up all the way to $2 million. Think about that. And the cool thing here is that you have, so they have different layers in their business financing programs. But for working capital, they can go all the way to $2 million. They have commercial real estate loans up to $6 million. This is really cool. So you're talking about flexibility. You are speaking about generosity. And Biz to Credit, they have a great customer service that allows you to have all the help that you need. If you have questions, they'll answer you. Fantastic. So overall, when you think about Biz to Credit, you have loan amounts that go from $25,000 all the way to $6 million. And they want you to be in business for at least 6 months. And credit score minimum, they'll go from 540 to 575. So overall, we love Biz to Credit. And by the way, boss, welcome back to the show. I really appreciate having this kind of conversations with you. And when you think about Biz to Credit, what are the pros? They have less stringent qualification requirements for working capital loans. Minimum annual revenue requirements can be from $25,000 to $100,000 for some loans. They have a quick application, approval, and funding process. Okay. What about the cons? They have more stringent qualification requirements for term and CRE loans. Term loans, working capital loans require daily, weekly, or bi-monthly payments. And CRE loans approval can take up to 30 days. So the cool thing is that Biz to Credit will kind of they will approve you, right? But they will want you to actually pay them to repay the loan on a more frequent basis. So as long as you're comfortable with that, this should be fine, okay? But Biz to Credit overall, we love them. They're very fast, 7.8 over 10. Number 7, we have Funding Circle. Our score, 8 over 10. So when you think about Funding Circle, what we love about Funding Circle is that they'll take care of you whether you're an established business or if you are a startup, they'll still take care of you. But the cool thing about Funding Circle here is that they are very generous. By the way, they give you working capital loans with low documentation requirements from $25,000 to $500,000. They want you to be in business for 2 years. Minimum credit score, it goes from 540 to 600. In some states, they'll want you to have a 660. It really depends on in the state, okay? And what I want to say here is that what we love about Funding Circle is that they offer fast, affordable loans with a simple application process. And they will actually like everything from start to finish can last from like 12 hours to 48 hours. So within 2 days, you can be funded with a low doc working capital loan from Funding Circle. So when you really think about it, this is really, really interesting. And what we love about Funding Circle also is that they have an entire operation in place to support you. So it's not just about giving you the cash. They'll have someone actually work with you, an account representative, a loan representative, to sort of understand your needs and kind of help you in the future. So that's really, really fantastic. By the way, boss, welcome back to the show. I really appreciate having you here and have this kind of conversation with you. To this topic, I'm talking to you about our top 8 working capital loans with low documentation for businesses that have a FICO score that start at 540, 535, 540. What are the pros and cons of Funding Circle? Pros: you have loans up to $500,000. You have funding in as little as 48 hours. No minimum annual revenue requirements. What about the cons here? One-time origination fees between 3.49% and 6.9% of the approved loan amounts. They do require, in some cases, 2 years in business, and they're not available in Nevada. So if you are based in Nevada, you're not going to like what the Funding Circle is offering you. But overall, this is a great lender. We have been following them for many years now. Some of our own business clients have gotten working capital loans with low documentation from Funding Circle, a fantastic lender to work with. Number 6, we have Funbox. Our score, 8.4 over 10. Funbox is kind of cool when it comes to quick approvals for low doc working capital loans for businesses that have a low credit score. Okay, and what we love about Funbox is that they have actually created an AI driven platform that looks at a constellation of factors to actually approve you. So they're not just sitting around and say, listen, we are going to approve you just based on your social security, like based on your FICO score only. No, they will look at the constellation of factors, including revenue, including trends in the sector, trends in the overall economy, the biography of the owner. I mean, they look at his or her resume. So you do have a lot of factors. So you see, when you think about it, this is kind of cool because then you have a chance to actually, still be qualified. Even if you made mistakes in the past regarding your FICO score, you can still qualify. And for Funbox, you are having loan amounts that go from $1,000 to $1,000 to $150,000. Time in business 6 months. Minimum credit score 540 to 600. Okay, so one thing I want you to remember with the Funbox is just that they are a fintech, and they just look at things a little differently. Okay, and they actually offer you quick approval and funding as early as the next business day. So within 24 hours, you could be funded. So this is kind of cool. This is a great proposition if you were to ask me. And what are the pros and cons of Funbox? The pros: you can receive a decision within 3 minutes. So in other words, you can pre-qualify for your low doc working capital loan real fast. And they have a low minimum credit score requirements, and they have next day funding. What about the cons here? Well, only short-term repayment terms are available. So Funbox is not going to give you a loan for 5 years, a working capital loan for 5 years. No, they just want to probably give you a 6 months, 9 months, 12 months, really short term. And they have relatively low lines of credit up to $150,000. I mean, where Biz2 Credit is offering you, let's say, $2 million, where Funding Circle is giving you $500,000. Funbox is only giving you $150,000. Okay, so I guess that's that's just their way of managing risk. Their way of mitigating credit risk and default risk. Number 5, we have here national funding. Our score 8.8 over 10. So when you think about national funding, I want you to think about a low doc working capital lender that's great for small to mid-sized businesses. So even if you're a startup, national funding can work with you as long as you have the right paperwork. Okay, so they actually provide a constellation of business loans, including low doc working capital loans. They also provide term loans. They do equipment financing. Okay, and the cool thing we have with national funding is that they have early payoff discounts that can help you if you are a business owner who actually goes really pays on time. You can actually save a lot of cash. Okay, so when you close your eyes and you think about national funding, I want you to see two things: loan amounts that go from $10,000 to $400,000. So that's the maximum for low doc working capital loans. And you also have a time in business. They want you to be in business for at least 6 months. 3 to 6 months. Okay. In some cases, they will accept you if you are a startup, but it really depends on the solidity of your application package, your paperwork. Okay. And in terms of minimum credit score, so if you have a 530 to 600, they'll take care of you. Not a problem. Plus, I want to quickly remind you of today's topic. I am speaking to you about our top 8 best working capital loans, low documentation for businesses with FICO scores that start at 530, 540. Okay, I like to really remind you of this topic so we are on the same page and we have a clear idea where we're going. And here are the pros and cons of national funding. Pros: you have financing up to $400,000. You have early payoff discounts, And those are the pros. What about the cons? They do require daily or weekly payments. They have potentially high borrowing costs, and they require minimum gross annual sales of $100,000 to $250,000. So the requirements might be a little stringent for some established businesses out there. But overall, this is a great lender. Okay, they'll take care of you real fast. They will approve you real fast, and we love the fact that they also have a pre-qualification platform where you can see if you actually you get a soft pull, and you can see if you can get pre-approved before even applying for real. Number four, we have BlueVine. Our score 9/10. So when you think about BlueVine, I want you to think about a lender who has been in the business for the last 10 years, more than 10 years, by the way. And BlueVine is kind of cool when it comes to low documentation, working capital loans. And what they do is that they actually give you the working capital loan in terms of a business line of credit, okay? And they actually allow you to have multiple payment structures and they have working capital loan amounts that go from 6,000 to $250,000. So you have the ability to choose whichever way you want to repay them. But working capital, what we love about BlueVine is that this lender is kicking ass like crazy. They've been expanding like crazy, and we love that. We love to see a lender who is consistent in its let's say in its expansion goals. Okay, and as a matter of fact, BlueVine right now they are offering a business checking account. So this is kind of cool because you can actually start building a relationship with BlueVine on the business checking side before you actually apply for a low doc working capital loan from them. So this is kind of cool. Okay, so time in business, they want you to be in business for from 6 months to 24 months, depending on the exact that I would say the month number. It really depends on your state. And they do have also a Flex 6 plan. And minimum credit score 625. They can go all the way to 550, in some cases 540, depending on your states. Okay. And here are the pros and cons of BlueVine. Pros: you got to be in operation for at least somewhere from 6 to 24 months. They give you lines of credit and working capital loans, low documentation, up to $250,000. They have a low credit score requirement. What about the cons? Well, BlueVine still needs to work on developing its own app, okay? And they do have monthly revenue requirements that actually fluctuates. And for some states, BlueVine is not available. So if you are in some states, you are looking for a working capital loan, low documentation from BlueVine, you're not going to qualify. So those states are North Dakota, South Dakota, Puerto Rico, and U.S. territories. Number 3, we have American Express Business Blueprint. Our score 9.1/10. So when you think about American Express, you have to think about best of lines of credit and working capital loans that are backed by American Express. So you have I would say the support from a giant in the financial services industry, right? So here, working capital loans with low documentation, or they go from 2,000 to $250,000 with no prepayment penalty. So you have this is kind of cool. And monthly fees will vary by loan term, and minimum credit score 640. But the cool thing what we love about American Express Business Blueprint is that, you know, when this working capital loan arrangement was actually managed before by Cabbage, before Cabbage got bought over by American Express after they had difficulties during the COVID era and during the pandemic. And since Amex actually took over, they have revamped everything, and the service is better, faster, more flexible. You have world-class customer service from American Express. So this is really good, right? So this is really good. Here are the pros and cons of this service. Pros: you have a working capital loan, low documentation that is backed by American Express, and there's no prepayment penalty. This is really good. What about the cons? You have monthly fees on unpaid balances. And in some cases, this working capital loan with low documentation requires personal guarantee. So if you are someone who shuns personal guarantee in any way, shape, or form, you want to stay away from this working capital loan, because Amex wants you to provide a PG. So this is one thing I also need to say before closing here is that in terms of the loan term range, the loan term, you have ranges from 3% to 9% for a 6 months loan, 6% to 18% for 12-month loans, and 9% to 27% for 18 months loan. So you have an APR that fluctuates based on the repayment window. Number 2, we have Lendio, our score, 9.6 over 10. So when you think about Lendio, Lendio is great when it comes to lender comparison sites. So on Lendio, what happens here is that you actually can go there and apply for a working capital loan with low documentation. And the cool thing is that you have a one single application that Lendio actually does for you. It's a pre-qual sort of application. So soft pull, no hard pull at all, initially at least. And you fill out the application. What will happen here is that instead of actually sending it to Lendio only, Lendio will dispatch it to its 80 plus lenders. So there are business lenders in Lendio's network, and those lenders will see if they're interested in your application or not. So Lendio itself does not lend you money. Lendio is a platform for comparing loans, and also for also giving you access to a pool of lenders. Okay, so this is kind of cool. And when we talk about lenders, I'm not just talking about traditional banks. You also have alternative lenders. You also have you have online lenders. As a matter of fact, BlueVine is part of Lendio's network. Okay, so this is what it is. And what are the pros and cons of this player here? Pros: you have one application that connects you to more than 75 lenders. This is really good. So you have the ability to access a plurality of lenders. And you have a wide variety of loan products, including term loans, lines of credit, and SBA loans. So this is kind of cool. And what are the cons here? Now, some lenders charge prepayment penalties, and funding times vary depending on the specific lender. So you do have to think about the eligibility requirements from every lender. One thing we love about Lendio also is that you actually have they have the two-layer, the two-step, the two-phase kind of application process. So you have the first phase that lasts about 5 minutes, whereby they're just doing a soft pull. So basically, they allow you to see how much you can qualify for or pre-qualify for. Okay, so that phase is kind of cool. It takes 15 minutes, 10 to 15 minutes. In some cases, 5 minutes. When we tested it ourselves, it lasted for 7 minutes. And once you actually pre-qualify, they will give you a bunch of offers. It can be 6 to 10 offers, and you pick the one that you are interested in. And once you pick an offer for real, that's when they will do the hard pull. That's what the lender will do, a hard pull. So this is kind of cool. Number 1, the best of the best when it comes to low doc working capital loans for businesses with a 540 plus FICO score. We have OnDeck. Our score, 9.8 over 10. So when you think about OnDeck, I want you to think about a lender that's great for short-term, low doc working capital loans. So for OnDeck, they're not going to give you like a loan to go all the way to 5 years or 3 years or 2 years. They will give you 6 months. They'll take care of you for 9 months. They take care of you for 12 months, which is kind of cool anyway, because when we talk about working capital loans, by definition, you are speaking about loans that are linked to working capital, which is conceptually anything less than 12 months. Okay, so OnDeck offers a flexible business lending options and fast funding, and this is kind of cool. And they actually will provide you with an excellent short-term low doc working capital loan of up to $250,000, and they will give you also repayment terms up to 24 months. So $250,000 and 24 months. And so here you have loan amounts that go from $5,000 to $250,000. They want you to be in business from 3 months to 1 year, and minimum credit score 625. In some cases, they'll go all the way to 540. And it really depends on your 540, 525. It depends on the solidity of your application. What we love about OnDeck overall is that OnDeck is flexible. OnDeck really got your back. Like, they really got your back. And here are the pros and cons of OnDeck. Pros: they have term loans up to $250,000, lines of credit up to $100,000. They have same-day funding. Okay, they have a low minimum credit score requirement, so this is really, really cool. What about the cons here? They do require, in some cases, $100,000 minimum annual revenue requirements. You must have been operating for at least 1 year. It goes from for three months to 1 year. And they actually have a few states where they do not lend to. So you have Nevada, North Dakota, and South Dakota. So those are the 3 states they don't like to do business in. So here you have it, the top 8 low doc working capital loans. And before I actually do a recap, please check out our loan evaluation approach. We have a system in place to analyze, evaluate, and list and categorize all low doc working capital loans. So check this out. Let's do a quick recap here. So number 1, OnDeck, 9.8 over 10. Number 2, we have Lendio, 9.6 over 10. Number 3, we have American Express, 9.1 over 10. Number 4, we have BlueVine, 9 over 10. Number 5, we have National Funding, 8.8 over 10. Number 6, we have Funbox, 8.4 over 10. Number 7, we have Funding Circle, 8 over 10. And number 8, last but not the least, we have Biz to Credit, 7.8 over 10. Thank you. God bless you. I will speak to you another time. But until then, remember, stay marvelous.